This video is not about the first arrival of the modern man African Homo sapiens into Europe. Neither is it about the period covering modern man's movement from Africa to populate Europe and other parts of the world 200,000 years ago. Rather, this video will discuss the period before 1492, the long period as Africans brought civilization to Europe before the horrible slave trade set in, shortly after Christopher Columbus discovered America in 1492. This documentary will therefore explore the impact of Africans in the post-evolutionary period. This period goes back to about 1,500 years ago. What were black experiences in Europe like before the arrival of the transatlantic slave trade and thereafter? How did medieval Europeans view the continent of Africa? Who is John Blank, a black trumpeter at Hampton Court Palace during the time of King Henry VII and King Henry VIII? Do you remember the tragedy of Othello, the Moor of Venice, is a tragedy written by William Shakespeare around 1603. Othello is a Moorish military commander who was serving as a general of the Venetian army in defense of Cyprus against invasion by Ottoman Turks. Where did the Black St. Maurice and the Black Magus come from, and why have they persisted into the present? Who were the early African artists and musicians who played and entertained guests in the Middle Ages in European royal courts? What was the life of Africans like in German-speaking Europe as they interacted with painters, writers, emperors and priests? Who is Christian Gottlieb, the black trumpeter of Plön, Germany? Often labeled as Moors, many black figures stood at the intersection between religion, Islam and Christianity, and culture. Coming from exotic lands full of riches and the promises of new alliances, the Moor, in the European imagination, symbolized the ambitions of Christian universalism and the expansion of European empires. Imagine a time centuries ago when Europe was still in the Dark Ages, a dynamic era of shifting power across vast empires and expanding trade routes spanning continents. In this period, Arabs and West African Muslims, motivated by trade, cultural exchange and exploration, ventured into Western Europe, bringing with them the rich culture of Islamic civilization. Their arrival was significant not merely as a physical voyage across seas, but as a journey that would intertwine cultures, ideas and histories. They brought with them their rich cultural heritage, influencing the arts, sciences and societies they encountered. Their influence was profound, shaping the course of Western Europe's history in ways that still reverberate today. These early Africans were not merely travelers or explorers, they were pioneers, leaving their mark on a foreign land and creating a legacy that would last for centuries. Join us as we begin this journey deeper into a fascinating chapter of history. Our journey commences in Iberia, where the Moors, a Muslim mixed group of people, Arabs and Africans from both North and West Africa, established a powerful presence. This tale begins in the 8th century when the Moors crossed the Strait of Gibraltar and embarked on a conquest that would shape the future of Spain and Portugal. Their influence was profound and far-reaching, imbuing the region with a distinct character that blended African, Arab and European cultures. The Moors introduced advanced agricultural techniques, bringing with them crops such as rice, oranges and sugarcane, and they laid the foundations for a sophisticated urban lifestyle complete with public baths, paved streets and street lighting. The Moors were also patrons of the arts and sciences, fostering an environment where knowledge thrived. Scholars from across the globe flocked to the libraries and universities of Moorish Spain, such as the University of Al-Qarawiyyin, which is considered the oldest existing and continually operating educational institution in the world. Here, they studied subjects ranging from philosophy and medicine to astronomy and mathematics, contributing to what we now refer to as the Golden Age of Islam. The Moorish influence on architecture is particularly striking, with structures that showcase intricate geometric patterns, lush courtyard gardens and dazzling tile work. One of the most iconic examples is the Alhambra Palace in Granada, a majestic fortress that is considered a masterpiece of Islamic art. Its delicate arches, ornate carvings and reflective water features are a testament to the exquisite aesthetic sensibilities of the Moors. Despite their eventual expulsion in the late 15th century, the Moors left behind a rich cultural legacy that continues to permeate Iberian life. Their contributions to science, art and architecture are still evident, and their influence can be seen in everything from the region's cuisine to its music and language. The Moors left an indelible mark on Iberian culture, one that persists to this day. As we delve deeper into our exploration of early Africans in Western Europe, we'll discover that their influence extends far beyond the borders of Spain and Portugal, leaving a lasting impact on the entire continent. Crossing the English Channel, we find a smaller yet significant number of Africans in medieval England. Indeed, the presence of Africans in the British Isles can be traced back to antiquity. Historical records and archaeological evidence paint a picture of a diverse and multicultural medieval England, where Africans were not only present but played important roles. Among the earliest African inhabitants of England were Roman soldiers. When Rome extended its empire to the British Isles around the 1st century AD, it brought soldiers from all across the empire. Among these were African soldiers from North Africa, specifically from the area we now know as Morocco. These men were stationed at Hadrian's Wall, the northernmost boundary of the Roman Empire in Britain. They stood guard, defending the empire from the tribes of Scotland. Moving forward to the late medieval period, one of the most documented Africans in England was a man named John Blank. John Blank was a trumpeter at the royal court of King Henry VII, a position of great prestige. He is depicted in the Westminster Tournament Roll, an illuminated manuscript that chronicles the events of a tournament held in 1511 to celebrate the birth of a prince. John Blank is seen twice in the roll, both times playing the trumpet. He stands out not only because he is the only black man in the roll, but also because of his high position in the royal court. These examples show that Africans in medieval England were not passive observers but active participants in society. They were soldiers, musicians, and perhaps even more. They were pioneers, paving the way for future generations of Africans in England. Yet their stories are often overlooked, overshadowed by the more dominant narrative of the African diaspora in the Americas. By bringing their stories to light, we can better understand the complex history of Africans in Europe and their contributions to the societies they lived in. These early Africans in England were pioneers, carving out lives in an alien land. Venturing further into the heart of Europe, we discover Africans making their mark on Renaissance Italy. This period, spanning the 14th to the 17th centuries, was a time of profound cultural change and intellectual advancement, and Africans were no bystanders in this seismic shift. In the bustling city-states of Italy, Africans were present in a variety of roles. Some were merchants, engaging in trade and commerce, contributing to the flourishing economies of cities like Venice and Florence. They brought with them exotic goods from Africa and in turn took back European commodities, creating a vibrant exchange of cultures and ideas. Africans also served as soldiers, demonstrating their bravery and strategic prowess on the battlefield. Their contribution to the military might of these city-states was significant, and their presence was a testament to the multicultural fabric of Renaissance Italy. In the realm of academia, Africans played a vital role too. They were scholars, translators, and teachers, contributing to the intellectual ferment of the Renaissance. Their knowledge of African languages, history, and culture enriched the intellectual landscape of Italy, adding a unique dimension to the humanistic studies that were the hallmark of the period. But perhaps the most remarkable story is that of Alessandro de' Medici, the first Duke of Florence. Born to a servant of African descent in the Medici household, Alessandro rose to become one of the most powerful figures in Renaissance Italy. His rule, though fraught with controversy, was significant as he was one of the first persons of African descent to hold such a high-ranking position in European history. Alessandro's story is a powerful testament to the presence and influence of Africans in Renaissance Italy. It challenges the notion that Africans were mere outsiders or peripheral figures in this pivotal period of history. The Renaissance was a time of rebirth and discovery, and Africans played their part in this transformative period. Our journey concludes in France, where Africans have long had a presence, beginning in the Roman era. The Romans, known for their vast empire, employed African soldiers, many of whom were stationed in Gaul, which we now know as France. Over time, these African soldiers and their descendants became a part of the local society, leaving their mark on the cultural and historical landscape. As we move forward to the Middle Ages, France, like much of Europe, was a melting pot of cultures. Africans, both free and enslaved, were part of this rich tapestry. They were involved in various professions, from artisans to soldiers, merchants to scholars. Their influence is still visible today in various aspects of French culture. The role of Africans in France became even more pronounced in the modern era. During the World Wars, African soldiers played an instrumental role in the French armies. Many hailed from French colonies in Africa and were known as the tirailleurs sénégalais, despite not all of them being from Senegal. Their bravery and sacrifice are well documented and remembered, contributing to the liberation of France from enemy forces. In the post-war era, migration from Africa to France increased significantly. These African immigrants and their descendants have continued to shape French society in numerous ways. They have made significant contributions to French culture, particularly in the realms of literature, music, sports, and cuisine. African influences permeate French society, adding to its vibrancy and dynamism. It's important to note that the African presence in France has not been without challenges. Issues of race, identity, and immigration have often been at the forefront, but through it all, the African community in France has remained resilient, carving out a space for themselves and contributing to the nation's multicultural identity. From ancient times to the present day, Africans have been a part of French society, contributing to its rich tapestry of culture and history. From Spain to England, Italy to France, the journey of early Africans in Western Europe is a tale of strength, resilience, and contribution. As we have explored, the Moors left an indelible mark on Spain and Portugal, influencing everything from architecture to language. In medieval England, Africans were not only present, but they played significant roles in society, contributing to the cultural and economic fabric of the nation. Moving on to Italy during the Renaissance, Africans were active contributors to this golden age of art, science, and thought. Their voices and visions helped shape an era that still influences our world today. And in France, Africans were integral parts of society, leaving their fingerprints on the nation's history, culture, and soul. Their legacy, etched in stone and woven into the fabric of society, remains a testament to their enduring spirit. This is a story of influence and impact, a story that continues to resonate through the corridors of time. We hope you found this journey through history enlightening. If you've been inspired or intrigued, please leave a comment below. Your thoughts and insights add to the richness of our historical journeys and heritage. Fancy more voyages into the past? Do hit the subscribe button. Our channel is brimming with captivating historical content just waiting to be discovered. Know others who might enjoy a historical and cultural journey. Share this video with them. Until next time, keep exploring the past to understand the present.